Kari Dady, welcome back to the podcast, my friend.
Thank you, Cato. Great to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I feel like I just saw you, which is funny because we were in Georgia last week. But let's start off. You want to just reintroduce yourself to our listeners, and then also tell them kind of what primary geographic regions you serve as your consultation role.
Yes, love to. I'm Kari Dady. I serve on our outreach team, which means I get to have fascinating conversations with organizations around the globe. I would say my regions, really working with organizations in Asia, anyone touching the court sphere, I like to talk with. And so that's courts, attorneys, CASAs, court adjacent. And then I live and work out of Missoula, Montana, with our big fun family here. And so organizations that are closer geographically to me in Colorado, Nevada, Utah, are on my caseload.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that's a small little footprint that you have there between half of the globe and half of the United States locally. So that's cool. At least you're not busy. And then all the lawyers, and I know you guys tend to be argumentative, so that probably takes up a lot of your time.
I'm a reform lawyer. So yes, I used to be.
Okay.
I suppose I still am, but instead of spending all of my time and energy trying to win arguments and be right, now I pour it into TBRI, and I get to, and the exciting, surprising thing is that TBRI is really gaining traction in courtrooms and in the legal practice in a new way. And so it's this mashup of being an attorney, which I really loved, and TBRI, which is pure gold. And I get to do both things at the same time, which is a bit of a kid in a candy store situation.
Yeah. That's awesome. I actually would never, ever describe you as argumentative, although I would describe you as passionate for the kids and families and communities we serve. So have you always been a natural at TBRI, or is this like taking some practice for you to get into?
100% practice. I would say the parts of TBRI, I lean more towards nurture, and I'm a real goofball. And so things like play, that was not new to me. I'm like, oh, they want me to do this more. Like this is something that gets you a gold star in this realm. I like that. And just that idea of connecting with the heart of a child, where I've really, really, really had to grow is that structure piece. We have 4 kids, married, both my husband and I, work. And so in my tendency, my default is kind of a go with the flow, flexible mama situation. And when we really started to get serious about TBRI, and even now, the things I'm working on are structuring up that a lot of the challenges that I see in our family, like mornings being a hot mess, are because we didn't have a morning routine where everybody knew what they were supposed to do, or we weren't great at tidying on the regular and having a place where things go, and that those things matter, apparently. I thought they were just like, I don't know. Yeah, extra if you were like really good at that, but I didn't know they could impact the emotional tone of your house. So there's things that, yes, I have had to grow in and continue to grow in and work on every day.
Yeah, same. I'm just the opposite. I think I was good at connecting to the heart of compliance of a kid as opposed to their heart. And so I've had to swing hard into the nurture side of things, which has been a really fun journey, an interesting journey, a rewarding journey. I'm glad I did it. But it's been hard along the way for sure. What is your favorite TBRI principle and why?
Favorite TBRI principle? I guess that was new to me, this idea that my role as a parent or as the adult on duty is this co-regulator job. That was new info to me, hot news. I really was like, either you self-regulate or the parent regulates all. And this like murky middle where you can see a child you're serving, or I can see one of my kids needs help. And that requires something of me in terms of emotion,
Mm-hmm.
emotional energy, being there. One of the TBRI phrases that really stuck in my brain when I was first learning was, you couldn't TBRI from the couch. I really like
Oh.
to just lob helpful tips, life
Yeah,
tips,
it's true.
directions from wherever I was. And this principle of, uh, if there's a problem, I'll solve it. And it's me showing up and being like, what do you need in this situation? And that was brand new to me. And, but the ultimate game changer when I started to see behavior as not a problem you should solve, but
Mm-hmm.
let's do
Mm-hmm.
this together and figure it out.
That's so good. We were well, you and I were in Georgia last week for practitioner, and then some of us went to camp over the weekend, and Leah Gillum and I were doing the parent training, and Leah just kept telling them, regulators got to regulate. And she would say, Kari Dady told me that regulators got to regulate. And it was like, it just became sort of a mantra in the parent training this weekend. And I think I heard you say that last week for the first time. So
Yeah,
it's true though, right? We can't solve the problem without that. Which strategy is easiest for you? And then we'll talk about what's the hardest.
for sure. Playful engagement is the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a joker by nature.
Mm-hmm.
I was a camp counselor, which, living in Montana, it's this gorgeous camp on Flathead Lake that has all of the sporting equipment, art supplies, tasty snacks in the world. And they're just like, go do these things. And so that part, I love showing up at camp and being able to connect. I pride myself on being able to connect with any kid. I'm like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
into? Is it Pokemon? Is it football? Is it Taylor Swift? Is it
Mm-hmm.
Bluey? Is it
Mm-hmm.
popsicles? I mean, like, we're gonna find something where
Right.
and so I love that part. And I love that TBRI calls out, prizes, and elevates play in a way that makes it a necessary component, not just the
Mm-hmm.
frosting if you have time left over or energy, but it's really this strategy that a lot of people have let go of. And that's why when you're a playful person and you show up professionally and you're playful, people are like,
Mm-hmm.
what's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
But just when we look at it as a tool to establish felt safety and connection and help reintegrate the brain when things are feeling tricky, I love it.
It's in all three principles. Play is in some variety, right? Playful
Yeah.
interaction, playful engagement when we get into the levels. And I think it's so interesting because really in each place, it sort of means something different,
Yeah.
right? And but it's all undergirded with like keeping this kid in their upstairs brain, and remembering what we're dealing with. We're dealing with kids, and we need to play. So I love that. And I would say if there was an award for most playful in our team, you would absolutely win it, because I think you keep us all playing between uh, voting on Fat Bears to fantasy football, which I'm 10. I'm 10th in our league right now. There are only 10 teams.
Oh,
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. My worth is not determined by fantasy football. But I'm winning the league where I did auto draft, so that's really cool.
I like
Shows
that
you
for you.
shows you what I know. I should just do auto draft. What about the most challenging part of TBRI for you?
The most challenging is showing up in a way that I know, like, this is my parent, this is how I want to show up, and dealing with the reality that there's times I'm tired and I'm
Mm-hmm.
annoyed, or I've had a long day or week, or just there's seasons that feel really heavy, and that, like, but I'm still committed to doing that. And it's hard. It's hard.
Right.
The regulators got to regulate comment was when I really slowed down tricky interactions and was like, I'm showing up to these red hot. I just hadn't had a pause and a mirror. I was so focused on whatever behavior was in front of me that was challenging that I wasn't looking at like, what does your face look like? Like, what does your body look like? And so when I'm tired, and you know that's my kryptonite, I can if I don't get enough sleep, it's a tricky for this gal.
Yeah.
And so that, like, how do I do my best in those situations? And how do I either ask for extra help or tap out and take breaks, or just that mindfulness of I'm super tired, but I need to show up in this way that is consistent and loving for my kid. And that's hard. When people are like, this TBRI sounds great, but it's also a lot of work. You betcha.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of work, and having to be mindful when you're tired is like a whole nother layer of energy required, which, oh, wow. Yep. But you know what? I also think you do a great job of acknowledging that and taking care of business, even whether it's with your kids and your family, or if it's serving the masses. Like, I think you do a good job of like saying, like, time for me to buzz out for a minute, take a little nap.
Yeah.
Are you willing to share a time that you did a redo? You needed a redo?
Absolutely. So we're now in September, which for parents, it's the launch back to school, but harken back to May. May, where it's the end of school, and every day there's a different dress day. There is a ballet recital. There is a soccer tournament. There are teacher gifts. We had practitioner training in there. And so it was this, I have 4 kids. I have 3 soccer players, and I have 1 gorgeous dancer. I myself was a soccer player, and so I can get into my soccer mom mode, like let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. I love to talk soccer. I love dance. I'm just not skilled at it. And so it was this time, this frenzy in mid-May where I was really tired physically. I felt like every week was wonky and different, and I was not, it's the time where you're like, I'm not kind of hitting the mark at work and at home. We're not, I was just feeling such overwhelm. And my oldest daughter, it was a ballet recital. Mind you, she had another one in June. And so in my mind, it was like first of 2 recitals. And it was this weekend that I love to play and I love to celebrate. And I usually on these landmark events, I make it a big ritual, and it's fun. And I didn't do the extra things I usually did to celebrate and acknowledge all of her work. And even something as simple as, I usually make a great cake for her, and she loves chocolate. And I picked up something at the bakery, and it was not chocolate, and it was gluten-free, and it tasted like lima beans. And in my mind, I was like, well, look, celebration, here's a cake. And it was like, yeah, but it's not tasty to me and not anything to do with me. And she pulled me aside, and this was heartbreaking to hear. And I was simultaneously so proud that she was able to say, I feel like you're phoning it in. I feel like this is just another check mark on your list that you're just hoping to get through. I feel like because soccer is more your thing, that you're more enthusiastic and pour more into those big events. But she was like, Mom, I only have a couple, dance isn't tournaments every week, and there's only a couple big moments. And you really disappointed me. And
Kari.
I was so proud that she could say that to me, because I would have never felt safe enough to voice that to any adult in my life. I would have had those feelings, and I would have stuffed them and probably spent more time with friends or treated myself. But it was this opportunity of, you're absolutely right. And I'm tired, and I have less energy, but the energy I do have needs to go to you. And everybody else can and should wait. And so it was the beauty of a redo, where I was like, can I, recital was a 2-day thing. So I was like, I really face planted Saturn. Can I have a redo on Sunday? And got to come and show up the way I wanted to, the way that felt like a celebration of her. You're important. I have time for this. This is important for me. That it's not just another check mark. And so do I wish I would have done that in the first place? Yeah. But
Yeah.
May is mayhem. And so
Right.
that was the reality, and that we got to go back and fix it. And she knows that I'm not going to get defensive, penalize her, pull back and get distant if she's like, hey, you're disappointing me. That she can come and we talk about it and we make it right and we roll on. So
Yeah, it's the greatest gift that you've given her, right? To have the felt safety with you and know how to use her words to say my needs are unmet right now.
yeah.
And I need more of you, as opposed to, it's the idea of like, she's not turning to peers to get those needs met. She's coming to you to say, we fell short, help me out. And then like, I've had those, you and I've talked about it. I've had these conversations with my girls and on the receiving end of that, it's like being punched in the throat, right? Like it hurts. You feel the pain is real, but the idea of fixing it is even better. It like is like a balm for that level of pain.
It is.
Thank you for sharing that. That's rough.
Well, but I share it all, and Sarah, I know you do too,
Yeah.
because it's real life. And I
Right.
think I used to spend a lot of mental time and energy and maybe even like a thread of anxiety of like, get it right all the time. And now I'm like, I can't possibly. I'm not a
Right.
robot. I'm a human, but I know how to repair. So I don't need to be so afraid when I blow it. They're going to let me know and we're going to fix it.
Yep. And it's okay. I think one of the gifts TBRI gave me was the ability to be wrong and not feel the pressure to be right all the time. So
yes,
if you could tell your younger version that was just trying this TBRI thing and maybe struggling, what would you tell her?
The younger version of me, I started
Yes.
mothering in my 30s. I was really, really interested in having other people think I was doing a good job. And I feel like my 20s was characterized by striving, and 30s, I had this desire that I wanted to seem like I had it all together. The challenge with that attitude is you're not a learner. You're like, no, I'm here to tell you.
So
I've
true.
researched it. I've thought about it. And we were, my husband and I have always been really intentional parents. We're reading books. We're talking to people that were like, this seems like a good family dynamic. But I think I wanted a lot of external validation from other people of like, you're doing a good job. And when we started doing TBRI, if your definition, and this was, a community I was in, that a good child equaled obedient. And I'm like, that's not what's happening here.
Right.
And I really had to let go of, you might not get what I'm doing. You might not agree with it. You certainly aren't going to adopt this as your way, but I actually don't need your permission or your approval, because I'm convinced that this is the best thing for my child. And so letting some of those, we had comments like, your house is already a circus. Like, why would you possibly think that you could add another child? Or you're coddling, in terms of Montana farm girl, like being too soft or gentle or coddling is really probably the worst insult that you could give to a parent. And that idea that there have been some people who just want to say, I don't like what you're doing. And then there's some people that are like, tell me more, and that's where I would spend my energy of, if you, want to learn about this and talk about this, about the why behind how we've shifted. But really just looking at how relationships are with my kids and within our family dynamic to measure, how do I feel like I'm doing as a parent?
Oh, that's so good. It's so easy to get caught in the external, right? In the community and what everybody's saying and the church and wherever, wherever you are socially, it's like, because people are watching, right? And their eyes tell you a lot. Like there's a lot of nonverbal disappointment that I feel like sometimes comes our way for doing things that might look a little different than the norm. Okay. Speed round. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Favorite food?
Cinnamon bears.
What?
food.
like spicy gummy bears?
Oh
Cinnamon
yeah,
gummy.
cinnamon
Okay,
bears.
okay.
Oh yeah,
At first I thought you were going to say cinnamon rolls. So okay, cinnamon bears.
cinnamon bears.
How do you take your coffee?
Black and hot. Would I like to drink it when I start and it's hot and I finish and it's hot? Yes. Do I microwave it a few times because I start thinking and I forget I have coffee? Yes, but black.
Yeah, black. Okay. If you could pick any walk-up song or theme song for yourself, what would it be?
Apparently the youth of today aren't into what they call classic rock. So I would say Beautiful Day by U2. I mean,
Yeah.
Bono, just beautiful. Let's just call the people in, set an intention for a beautiful day, and rock out a little bit. But I've heard that rock is kind of our vintage music, which can't believe I'm saying that.
I don't want to talk about that. That's upsetting to me. Favorite vacation spot?
My husband and I went to Sandals in Jamaica one year, and it was the convergence of being taken care of so well, which is a luxury, and warm spot. And I love to travel and see new places and meet new people. So that was super highlight of my life.
I remember that. Favorite animal?
I would have to say my beloved golden retriever, Kari Dady.
Oh, I love that. Sports team?
Seattle Seahawks, OL Reign, and Missoula Strikers and Missoula Surf. Love you guys both.
Oh, is that your kids' soccer teams?
We support two clubs. We love them all.
Okay.
We're for everybody.
Yeah, amen. Last one. Favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby? Reading.
Oh, there you have it.
I like to, if you're a reader, I learned about this lady, her name's Modern Mrs. Darcy, and she, over the last 10 years, she collects and she publishes these short lists of books that are all winners. I mean, you don't get it. You get a B+ to an A+ book, and it's different genres. I love a good mystery, but not too scary, but I like a mystery.
No, yeah.
And so that's my kind of wind down thing that feels like just for me, that helps my brain settle, and I kind of get lost in a book. So I love that.
Well, I love that. Well, Kari Dady, thanks for being here again. I have no doubt that we'll see you back here again because the people just love you. But thanks for sharing your wisdom and your insight and your joy.
Yay. Go TBRI. Love you, Sarah. Bye.
Go TBRI. Bye.